Great rap.
And you can taste the tree.
Oh, that's it.
That was the one.
It's like a sewer out there. Oh God, yeah, they can't kill enough stuff. Gavin, Morrison, and Tim. They love duck. They can eat that duck. They'll never starve. You know, if I was starving, I need a duck. I'm not starving. But not that wet. I freeze to death for a duck. Ohio. I think it would be more fun shooting at the squirrel. They say I'm shooting it, they will be losing them. And they have 5 or 6 babies. They landed. He told me the same thing. He said, "Oh, he did." They won't have any deer.
All right, if we can get everybody to sit down, we're going to get started. You can find your seats for us. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. So, first of all, my name is Steve Heck, and I am the current president of the Greenwave Hall of Fame. And let's start the evening by having a round of applause for the quarterback club and that great meal that they provided. And then the guys walking around are from the basketball team. Is Coach DeLogger here, or did she sneak up? Oh, there she is. Our championship coach over there by the basketball team to help out. And we'd also like to thank the City of Fallon for providing this wonderful space for us tonight to have this ceremony in. All right, I'm very excited to be here. This is my 4th year as president, and we're glad to have gotten through the COVID years, and we're back able to get people into the Hall of Fame and have our ceremonies, and we're super excited this year. We've got 3 excellent teams we're going to induct, and then we've got 10 individuals, 5 contributors, and 5 athletes, so we're excited to get them into the Hall of Fame tonight. One of the people who will be inducted tonight is our late founder. He's was my co-head coach on the track team, good friend of mine. And anyway, without him, we would not have ever started this entire process. So we'll be inducting Paul Arong tonight. And I just want to mention him because he was my great friend. And he's the one that was determined and spearheaded the entire process that we have got to get a Hall of Fame. So we'll be remembering our late founder tonight. I'd also like to recognize our committee tonight. I'm the president, but I probably do the least amount of work because I've got great people that do all the work. Steve Ranson is our vice president. Is Steve there? Julie Richards is our secretary. Julie Gilmore is probably out there counting money because she's the treasurer. Oh, no, she's right there. And then our other committee members include Larry Barker, our MC tonight, Randy Beagley, Casey Chu, back there, Trudy Dahl, back there, Angela Braga, Edna Deandra, she's man of the cupcakes, John Dirksen, over there. Carrie Beeman Gant, I don't think made it tonight. Sherry Jensen in the back. Dave Loomis, he couldn't be here tonight either. I don't think he made it. Judy Pratt. I call Judy the real president. She's the one that really keeps us running. And last but not least is Thomas Ranson. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to our MC, Randy Wood.
Thanks everybody for coming. This is a special night for us, and so it's nice to have you all here. Fallon has an athletic history that spans over a century. Aside from regional and state recognition, for years there was no way to recognize these standouts. 7 or 8 years ago, spearheaded by Paul Orong, the Hall of Fame went from a dream to an actual reality. So we're excited to be here to induct the latest class of inductees. A special thank you goes out to all those who submitted nomination forms for this truly great class of inductees for 2023. The Hall of Fame committee relies on the public to nominate candidates for the Hall of Fame. Nomination forms can be found on our website, www.greenwavehof.com, and are accepted year-round. The deadline for next year's class is May 30th. There are cards on your table with QR codes, and on one side of the QR code will take you to the nomination website where you can get more information to make nominations. On the other side is a QR code that will take you to the website with a link for the live feed of tonight's ceremony. So feel free to share that with family and friends. While it's been a great honor to welcome our inductees over the last several years, sadly, some of those Greenwave Hall of Fame members have passed on. Please join me in a moment of silence in recognition of those members and their accomplishments. Thank you. Now I'd like to recognize some very special people. Please hold your applause until after I'm finished announcing each group. First, I'd like to recognize the Greenwave Hall of Fame Research Committee. Dave Loomis, Mary Bunny Parkill, Nancy Sanders Stewart, and Yvonne Arsenega Sutherland. I'd also like to thank my wife, Kimberly, for being here and helping out so much for us. Thank you, Kimberly. I'd also like to recognize the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association for their guidance, the Greenwave Quarterback Club and their great barbecuist, Mark Williams, Alicia Hill of Alicia's Designs, Fallon Chamber of Commerce, the Churchill County School District, the City of Fallon, especially Candy Dolan, the Lahontan Valley News, Jeff's Digitex and Copy Express, and the Fallon Golf Course. And finally, I'd like to introduce to you a few community members in attendance this evening. Mayor Ken Tedford, Councilwoman Kelly Smith Frost, Councilwoman Carla Kent, CCHS Athletic Director Joe Wood, and Assistant Athletic Director Brian Mello. And finally, if there are any current Hall of Fame members present tonight, would you please stand? We appreciate you attending, and let's give them a big hand. Our guest speaker tonight does not really need an introduction. A Fallon native, Greenwave student athlete, Greenwave Hall of Famer, and Fallon business owner, he has excelled in all walks of life. He was a Greenwave two-sport athlete, winning 2 state championships, one in basketball and one in baseball. A graduate of CCHS and the University of Nevada, education has always been a major part of his life, alongside athletics. He's coached many youth teams, and as the mayor of Fallon has been a huge supporter of youth sports programs of all ages. He's a close friend, my teammate in softball and Cedar League basketball, one of my groomsmen, and a mentor to me and so many others. It is my honor and privilege to introduce tonight's guest speaker, a dear close family friend, our mayor, Mr. Ken Tedford.
It's indeed an honor for me to speak tonight to you all on this special occasion. You need to sit down, Randy. In the paper it said I was going to tell some stories, and I'm really not going to, other than I'm going to tell a couple right at the start. One time, when my kids were playing ball, Darcy and Dylan, we used to travel between Sparks and South Tahoe and where else with my good friend Jack Beach. And one time Jack went, "You're a storyteller. Tell stories all the time." And that's true. And sometimes I tell stories because I'm trying to end it with a meaning that you should get out of the story. Trying to make a point. And sometimes I tell stories so people who haven't been here long in Fallon will get some historical perspective of what some of us know to be true, especially true after a few years of what's gone on. And sometimes I tell stories just for the fun of it. Well, I said, "I don't know what's wrong, Jack, with telling stories." And I said, "I'll just go ask someone else to validate that telling stories is true or not." Jack said, "Okay, that'd be fine." So I went and asked Jimmy Mackinon. I can tell a lot of you know Jimmy Mackinon. He was a star player on that 68 basketball team that my team really looked up to. I said, "Jimmy, what's wrong with telling stories?" And he said, "Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with telling stories." And if any of you have ever told a story to Jimmy, he can make your story so much better and a lot longer. So I went back to Jack and I said, "Well, there's nothing wrong with telling stories," because I went and talked to someone and they said it was okay. And you said if I had someone to validate that it'd be all right. And he said, "Well, who'd you talk to?" And he'd grown up with Jimmy and played with him on that 68 team. And I said, "Well, I talked to Jimmy Mackinon." He said, "Well, you went to a storyteller." And I said, "Well, you didn't tell me who I could go to. You just said I had to go to someone." So I continued to tell stories. And I did live with Randy for 11 years, 10 or 11 years. And I have some wonderful stories about Randy. But we all want to go home tonight. And I have stories about Chris Hansen and that entire table, actually, that sit with Chris. And I have stories that may not even be true about this 53-54 team that have been handed down. And certainly the 63 team with my brother Julian Ed was on. That 68 team that I looked up to so much growing up, that had Charlie Hall, Mark Winans, and Jim Mackinon, and Ronnie Holmes, and Ricky Lewis on. And didn't win a state championship, but should have, because they were just really, really good. And I spent a couple hours with Steve Ranson. He really not realizing that it had been a couple hours. And he puts this little recorder out there in front of you if anybody ever talks to him. So he knows exactly what you say. And then I called and told him, do not write any of that. Because I said way too much, especially to a reporter, even though he's a good friend. Because you really don't want all that in print. Now I would tell you all privately what I said, and part of it was comparing decades. Evie and Julie are here tonight, and their dad, who was a wonderful friend of mine and mentor, senior, he and I and Elmo, those two coached the '59 championship team, which did not walk on water. I'll just be honest with you, like they thought it did, that basketball team. But they always compared it to our team that won in '71, and I always thought we'd win. And of course, that is antagonized them. And so we had wonderful discussions back and forth. But could we have beat the '68 team? I don't know if any of us kids growing up playing those guys at West End would have ever thought we could beat those guys that totally schooled us almost every night that we played. But we would have really tried hard. And then you go to the teams that, Shelley, did you move back a table? I'm talking now. You need to move up a table. We got 2 spots here for you. My friends asked me whether we could beat the team that Shelley had that won 2 championships. And, you know, I told them I don't know. You know, those kids were really good and very clutch and scrapped and played hard. So it's very hard to compare decades. And then my brother-in-law showed me a picture of the '63 team standing on the football field last night. I don't know how those guys won in '63. They didn't dress right last night. But I'm very young still, so I don't know how old those guys are. So it's hard to tell those things, but it's sure a lot of fun reminiscing. And I reminisced a little too much with Steve about who might do what, and I reminisced a little too much about my head coach at the time, who a lot of you guys had. Chris had him at his time. My brother-in-law had him in his time. Went King, who's passed away, and God rest his soul. But it was very much a disciplinarian for you guys to play with him. And I will say he did call me into his office one time and tell me not to date a girl because she'd just broken up with Doug, and you know he was a star, and it, you know she'd break up with me and then go out with Kerry, who was Kathy's brother, and there's 3 guys in the starting lineup that are totally destroyed and mad at each other. And I grew up with Doug lived a block away. I grew up with him. So, you know, I already said, can I take her out? Let alone, can I walk around the halls with her? And of course, he said yes. And Carrie and I were pretty close, so that wasn't going to happen. But you know what? I didn't date that girl. So anyway, I think it's okay to tell that story. So I'm not going to tell stories. But I believe in high school athletics, and that's why I support them wholeheartedly, either at the city or at my business. As was said by Randy, I graduated from Fallon High, so I support Fallon High wholeheartedly. My administration believes in supporting the youth, seniors, and veterans. So it's an easy alignment to go to high school sports. The nominating of a person to the Hall of Fame is a great recognition. That's a contribution to a fantastic high school. But the actual induction into the Hall of Fame goes well beyond that nomination process. The induction means You can go ahead and answer it. That's all right. The induction means you've risen to the greatest athletic achievement that one could ever hope to achieve as an athlete in high school. You give every athlete something to strive for. I've started and stopped phone calls right now. But I'm a little quicker, I guess. You give every athlete something to strive for when you reach this pinnacle. You set the bar and you set it high. I take you back and ask you if you can remember to the first days of that first summer when you lined up for an athletic physical as a young and possibly tiny and somewhat timid freshman. And I was 5'6", about 120 pounds. And Randy asked me if I played football, and remember that size. And who turned out later to be a great friend of mine, Earl Wilkins, played me 4 plays in 4 games. And I said, I'm pretty much done with this football. Now I grew between that freshman and sophomore year quite a bit, but I had a long memory of those 4 plays. Not knowing how you were perceived by the coaches and upperclassmen, who didn't care a whole lot about how great you were in 7th and 8th grade and what those athletic achievements were. And I promise you, I know all you Hall of Famers, they were mighty. But those folks, they didn't know about you. They didn't know what you accomplished. But you had seen in those athletes before you, and you wanted to do that yourself. And you practiced certain principles which they had that had got you there that night. And you were going to keep those in place as a young freshman and show the world, one upperclassman at a time. You were good listeners. Not only did you listen to your coaches, and there have been really good ones at Fallon High, like Paul Orong and John Short and Johnny Huckabee, all who were players before and are now coaches. Those men imparted great knowledge to you on and off the field. You also listened to your teammates. They both made you better players. You were disciplined. The life of an athlete is not an easy one, as it's made up of choices. Some require giving up something to better yourself, and you had strong people like Jim and Georgianne Ritter to guide and mentor you. People who only wanted your best and who believed in you, and you made the right choices. You were organized. To balance school and play multiple sports like Kelly Frost and Pete Levitt, that's difficult. To wrestle on a level that Mickey Ritter, Dan, and Glenn Shaw did is beyond arduous. Having 2 workouts a day and always staying in weight. I mean, I played team sports. You know, just having 1 workout a day was enough, but 2, you 5, your days must have been extremely organized to get your classwork done, as well as work at home, with athletics always at the forefront. You were all thoughtful. Much is required of the time and energy an athlete, and being kind and thinking of others is among them. This is to their family, to fans, classmates, and yes, to the press. Larry Barker, the voice of the Greenwave, has worked long and hard doing yeoman's work for the Greenwave, and at some difficult times has to ask reporter-type questions. He's always fair, and I think Greenwave athletes have been as thoughtful with Larry as he's been with them. You tonight have been great teammates with a team-first attitude. I know for sure no one ever won a championship by themselves. The 1953 and 54 girls basketball teams, I think, would agree that they won 2 championships in a row because of that. The 63 football team, which I know well, I think would say the same thing. Great teammates win championships. You always need them all. I know most all of these 10 inductees, and as I look back on them tonight, I know each one has utilized all or most of those 5 attributes. That's what made them top athletes. I believe the same is true of the 53-54 girls team and the 63 football team. One attribute which I did not mention, which all of these have, is heart. You cannot win a championship without heart. And you cannot succeed in life without heart. It is what drives us to do the best each day on the field or on the court or at work. Heart drives us to give a little bit more when there's nothing left to give. Big hearts make champions on the field of play and life. Great hearts help us love our teammates and our fellow man when really, at times, they're hard to love. I realize also that is what drove them to be the strong members and leaders of our community and the communities they chose to live in. Recently, someone who moved to Fallon told me there's just a culture of winning here, starting in the younger ages and on up. And if you just look recently, whether it's Karen's girls volleyball champions, Ann's girls basketball champions, Shelley's boys basketball champions, Lester's boys baseball champions, Dean's archery champions, Jeff's golf champions, Phil and Bill's softball girls champions, Steve and Paul's track champions, Trevor's wrestling champions, or Brooks football champions. And that's a lot of championships. I think we do have a culture of winning, and that is awesome for a community. That is great for a school and its students. Since winners then win in life also, winning is because of all of you in this room tonight. And I'm very proud of that. You moms, dads, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and extended family who supported you all and attended games, took you to practice, workouts, travel ball, should be congratulated. Without you, no one makes it to the Hall of Fame. No one. All of us here tonight owe you all a debt of gratitude. God bless you and God bless America.
Quite how to say this, but thank you, Mayor Tedford, for those wonderful words of wisdom, life. I mean, that's the way to live your life right there. He just put it into words just beautifully. So as a token of our appreciation, we've got a little gift for you. And thank you so much again for coming and speaking with us today, Kenny. Appreciate it. Okay, let's get on with the show. Each inductee will be introduced alphabetically, and we'll begin with the teams, followed by contributors and athletes. Each inductee will come up to the stage as I am finishing up reading your contribution to Greenwave Athletics. We would ask that you wait until I finish reading the inductees' contributions to give your respectful applause. Thomas will take each team's photo and a photo of the individual contributors and athletes as you've come up here. For the teams, you can come up and just stand in front instead of working up the stairs. It might make it a little bit easier for you all. You may also refer to your banquet program to read more about the inductees. So we'll go ahead and start this evening by recognizing our first two teams together, the 1953 and 1954 girls championship basketball teams. After 1932, Nevada began to discourage girls interscholastic basketball. 3 years later, there were only a handful of schools with teams. Slowly, win-loss records became important and district championships were awarded despite no playoffs. After World War II slowed, the progress of girls' sports momentum picked up, and in 1949, a new team was formed in Fallon, as the girls competed in 8 to 9 games a season. The 1953 and 1954 girls basketball teams amassed a 16-1 record. 10 players returned from the 1953 season to help win the championship again in 1954. The 1953 team members were Audrey Dimmitt, Marilyn Joan Wright, Della Bianchi, Muriel Nelson, Joellen Osgood, Kathleen Hughes, Jean Peer, Anita Woodward, Martha McCarthy, Marianne Moser, Mary Cornu, Shirley Brown, Arlene Williams, and Margaret Oates. The 1954 team members were Hazel Pittman, Mary Cornu, Anita Woodward, Jean Peer, Kathleen Hughes, Emma Serpa, Marianne Moser, Martha McCarthy, Joyce McCarthy, Lene Smith, Florence Workman, Joyce Edwards, Joellen Osgood, Anna Marie Plummer, Marilyn Joan Wright, Della Bianchi, Jackie Williams, Margaret Oates, and Janice Beagley. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage players or their representatives from the 1953 and 1954 girls championship basketball teams. So I was just told, along with these plaques that they're receiving, there's also a lifetime athletic pass to get into all sports activities for the school, and a Greenwave Hall of Fame sticker. So.
Mary Cornu.
I didn't have nothing to do with it. My mom did. Yeah, shoot you, Tracy. Sorry. I know. Oh, she plays pickleball. I do.
Our next team to be inducted is the 1963 championship football team. Coached by Dick Andrason, the 1963 football team defeated Carson City 7-6 to win the school's third state championship exactly 20 years after Fallon had won their last state title. On October 25th, 1963, the Greenwave's defense stymied the Senators in the first half before Carson City took a 6-0 lead going into the fourth quarter. Ron Shane intercepted a pass, and with 5 minutes and 36 seconds left, Jim Keller tied the game with a 9-yard touchdown run. Vernon Dixon's extra point split the uprights to give the Fallon a 7-6 lead. And with 3 minutes left in the game, the Greenwave defense flexed its defensive muscle once more when Trent Kroll recovered a fumble with 3 minutes to go as Fallon captured the AA state championship. Team members include Dave Kirk, Jim Keller, Trent Kroll, Vernon Dixon, Dave Hill, Ted Webb, Fred Oates, Clark Skinner, John Nunn, Chris Hansen, Dave Farlow, Buzz Nelson, Mike Montrose, Jack Whalen, Pat Sullivan, Con Hourahan, Tom Snow, Gary Imelli, Ron Shane, Ken Baranchia, Clifford Carr, Mike Jensen, Richard Burkett, Glenn Hornby, Jerome Lofthouse, Randy Anderson, Chuck Powery, and Dick Verbisky. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage players or representatives from the 1963 championship football team.
Over this way, please.
Hey, guys.
Over this way, please.
We're gonna take a photo over there.
Excuse me.
We're gonna take a photo over there.
I think the 77 team could have beat you guys. That's terrible. I should learn that lesson from Kenny. Gosh darn.
You meant the 76.
76, 77, 78.
It was the 76 was yours.
don't want to hear gunfire.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, you guys. Our next category is the contributors. And our first contributor to honor is Larry Barker. Larry Barker has been the voice of the Greenwave for almost 3 decades. And for a short 5-year span in the 1990s, he broadcast Lowry High School, Winnemucca athletic events on KWNA radio. Barker, who currently broadcasts play-by-play for the Greenwave football, basketball, baseball, and softball teams, was inducted into the Nevada Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame in 2022. When Barker first came to the Lahontan Valley, he worked as a radio announcer until KVLD converted to automation. Since arriving in Fallon, Barker has broadcast 15 state championship games, with his first being the 1988 softball title game. He also called the school's first basketball sweep when Fallon won the girls and boys state titles in 2019 in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the voice of the Greenwave, Larry Barker. That's my radio sidekick.
Isn't he a great color commentator on the radio?
Oh. Our next contributor is John Huckabee. Golf instruction was non-existent in Fallon almost 60 years ago. That didn't stop John Huckabee, who spent hours in the library learning about golf and then applied that knowledge on his family's property on Harrigan Road. He measured and built his own driving range and spent many hours practicing before being hired by the high school to coach the Greenwave. An owner of Hucksalt, Huckabee infused his self-learned ways onto the youth and even coached his son's baseball teams for a decade, eventually becoming the president of the Fallon Youth Baseball Organization. His contributions to youth sports led to creating the junior golf program that ran from 1985 to 2020. John was also a very good two-sport athlete for the Greenwave in baseball and basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage, John Huckabee. Our next contributor is Paul Orong. A fixture in Northern Nevada as a track coach for more than a quarter century, Paul Orong brought zeal to his coaching as he did assembling other like-minded individuals to begin the Greenwave Hall of Fame with its first induction in 2017. When Orong first arrived in Fallon in the 1990s, he was surprised to learn CCHS did not have a Hall of Fame. With the dedication of Orong and a number of former Fallon coaches, athletes, and contributors from several generations, the Greenwave Hall of Fame welcomed its first class 6 years ago. Orong served as the Greenwave Hall of Fame's first president. Orong coached the girls' track team along with Steve Heck, who guided the boys. In addition to track, Orong coached at every level of Greenwave football and also coached in the Fallon Youth Football League. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage Paul's wife, Randy Orong, and sons, Brendan, Caleb, and Caden. Our next contributors are Jim and Georgianne Ritter. Jim and Georgianne Ritter were well known in the wrestling community before both passed away 2 years apart between 2020 and 2022. Both became involved in youth wrestling when their son Mickey, a 2023 Greenwave Hall of Fame inductee, competed in several tournaments before winning state with the Greenwave and competing at California State University, Bakersfield. Jim was named by USA Wrestling as the Person of the Year in 2006 for his commitment. His wife became the first woman to serve as the state director in Nevada for USA Wrestling, and she held that seat for 19 years. Their grandson, Carson Melendi, became Fallon's first freshman since 2016 to win a state wrestling title when he took home the crown earlier this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mickey Ritter, accepting for Jim and Georgianne. Our final contributor this evening is John Short. John Short's second home was on the softball field. After his daughter, 2020 Hall of Fame inductee Rachel Casey Payne starred for the Greenwave in the 1980s, Short became a top assistant coach for the Fallon softball program before transitioning to help Oasis Academy. While with Fallon, Short assisted Phil Pinder, a 2018 Greenwave Hall of Fame inductee, to back-to-back 3A state titles in 2011 and 2012. He helped guide the Bighorns to a 1A softball championship in 2021. Outside of the team setting, Short can be found on the diamond guiding Fallon's youth in becoming better ball players. One of his most recent proteges, Lydia Bergman, broke the school's single-season home run record twice during her career before breaking the career record in March of 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, John Short. Our first athlete to be recognized is Kelly Smith Frost. Kelly Smith Frost was a three-sport athlete and shined brightest on the softball diamond before being named the school's female co-athlete of the year in 1983. Frost came onto the scene as a sophomore, making varsity in volleyball, basketball, and softball. She garnered multiple accolades, including the Most Dedicated Player Award in softball as a sophomore, and in her junior year, she was named the Most Valuable Player during the basketball season. She was named the team's Defensive Player of the Year in softball after picking up the AAA first team honors as a shortstop when Fallon won the regional title and finished second at state. As a senior, she was named the MVP in all three sports. And Frost became a 4-year letter winner when she played softball at the University of Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage, Kelly Smith Frost. Our next athlete is Pete Levitt. Pete Levitt competed in 3 sports for the Greenwave. He was the quarterback of the football team, played point guard in the winter, and pitched during the spring when Fallon won the state title in 1958, his freshman season. After high school, Levitt shined on the baseball field where he played for Nevada, including a performance when he struck out 22 in a one-hitter to go along with 5 years of playing semi-pro ball for the Fallon Merchants at the old North Main Street ballpark. In 2012, Fallon Mayor Ken Tebert recalled Levitt's performance, comparing him to the Cy Young winner and ex-San Francisco ace Tim Lincecum. Levitt and the Merchants were the talk of the town during the baseball season, playing the Reno Silver Sox minor league team and the San Francisco Giants rookie prospects team. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage, Pete Levitt. And family members.
Oh, yeah, gotta be proud of me. I'm awesome.
One, two, three. One more. One, two.
You want to take one of them?
Sure.
You're welcome.
One, two.
I don't mind telling you, it's a little emotional up here sometimes. Our next athlete is Mickey Ritter. Mickey Ritter, whose parents are Jim and Georgianne, finished his wrestling career with a record of 145-16 in his 4 years with the Greenwave. Mickey also captured 2 state championships during his career. After losing no more than 6 duels in each of his first 3 high school seasons, Ritter went undefeated as a senior in 44 matches, taking the state championship at the 152-pound level. Prior to high school, Ritter was also a regional and national freestyle champion. After his time with the Greenwave, he wrestled for Cal State Bakersfield in the Pacific 10 Conference. He placed in the top 6 of the Pac-10 Wrestling Championships in each of his 4 seasons. Like high school, he saved his best for last, finishing first in the 158-pound division as the Cal State Bakersfield Roadrunners won the conference title, and he finished third in the NCAA Division I National Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage Mickey Ritter. Our next athlete is Daniel Shaw, the oldest of the Shaw brothers. Dan dominated the mat in the late 1990s. A four-year letterman for the Greenwave, Dan finished his senior year with a 37-4 record with 20 pins to win the state championship at the 130-pound division. In the 4A division, 2 years in a row. As a junior, he won the Reno Tournament of Champions, billed as one of the toughest wrestling tournaments in the country, and received All-American honors. Dan was successful in college, winning the 2005 NAIA Regional while competing at Montana State University Northern. Since 2013, he has coached the Churchill County Middle School Wrestling Program and also assists the high school program, which won its first state team title in school history in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage Dan Shaw. Our next athlete and final inductee is Glenn Shaw. Like his older brother, Glenn saved his best for last to win the 152-pound division state title in his senior year, along with a second-place finish at the World of Wrestling Championships. Shaw was also a four-year letterman, winning the regional title as a junior before falling short in the state final. He is the current record holder for most takedowns in a season with 241. Shaw's success continued into college when he became the 2006 California Community College champion at 165 pounds after finishing undefeated 26-0 to receive All-American recognition. After his success at the two-year school level in the Golden State, Shaw moved to St. Charles, Missouri to help Lindenwood University win the 2008 NAIA Wrestling National Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Glenn Shaw. And ladies and gentlemen, would you please give our new inductees one more round of applause? I, along with the Greenwave Hall of Fame committee, want to congratulate all of our inductees for their accomplishments in Greenwave sports. This is an amazing class, and I want to thank the Greenwave Hall of Fame committee and the many volunteers for putting together a great event. I also want to thank Mayor Ken Ted for being our guest speaker this evening. And before you head out, just a couple of things here to note. We cannot wait to do this again next year, and we invite everyone to please nominate worthy candidates for the Hall of Fame. The committee relies on the public for your nominations. There are cards again on the table with information on accessing the website for nominating. Please take them and feel free to give them out to people who you may know may want to nominate themselves or others. Before leaving tonight, please check your raffle tickets to see if you got a winning ticket out there in the lobby. And lastly, we want all the inductees to come back up to the stage for a group photo immediately after the program. So lastly, will you please all rise and join me in singing a rousing rendition of the school's fight song. You can find the lyrics on the back of your program. Okay, everybody, thank you for coming tonight. Have a great evening. Please drive safe. And inductees, please come forward for your group photo. There's lots of cupcakes out there, so eat them up. My wife just informed me if you have kids at home, you're free to go ahead and take any of the balloons you can get. Yeah, I think we're going to see Thomas had tonight. Awesome. That's awesome.
I know. You cheered back. It could have been too deep.
Oh, yeah.